ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So welcome to our weekly session. We decided to actually highlight some salient features of various chapters of Bhagavad Gita so that we can revise our learnings and concentrate on these significant points. So I'll start with point number one. Point number one is indecisiveness and dilemma. Now, each one of us in our lives, we have these situations. Actually, these situations arise every single day. Sometimes we are in a dilemma, sometimes we are not able to decide. Just take a simple example. You know, whether to send your child to X school or Y school, whether to opt for this faculty or that discipline, whether to take this particular route to your destination or to take another route to the destination, or whether to wear this particular, pair of clothing or this particular pair of clothing. These are very day-to-day, life situations in which we pass through. When we go to the shopping mall, we debate whether to buy this or buy that. So we are having this dilemma, this indecisiveness in every single day of our life. But the worst dilemma can happen when you are putting your life at stake, when you have to take a decision in a situation where your life is at stake. Now, that is the most significant dilemma one can face in life. And that is the dilemma which Arjun is facing at this moment. In chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita, his dilemma is it's actually twofold. One is he is putting his own life at stake, but at the same time, he is thinking how could he fight against his own guru, against his own grandfather, against his own cousins, and all the members of the family, extended family. And even if you look at other kings who are fighting, many of them there are relatives. So he is in a big dilemma, and that dilemma is the one which actually brought Bhagavad Gita into existence. When he said that I abandon all my weapons and I will not fight, and I am in your shelter. He told Krishna that I am in your shelter and I will not fight. So then the birth of Bhagavad Gita happens. So Bhagavad Gita is a solution to all our indecisiveness, our dilemmas in life, which we face in a variety of ways on day-to-day basis. So this is the first part of it. Now, in this same part, the second aspect is actually Lord Krishna, before he starts his spiritual dialogue, he calls Arjun that you are Napunsak. You have decided to abandon your karma and you have become Kaya, you have become Napunsak. He used very harsh language. This is the only time when Lord Krishna uses very harsh language for Arjun. The two words which he used is kair and napunsak. That you are abandoning your duty, you are running away because of your attachment, more. The word which has been used is more. That because you are now attached or you are under the spell of attachment with your family, with your guru, with your other distant relatives, is the cause of these problems. So he told him right away that in this critical time, how come this inauspicious thought has come to your mind? And that is where he starts. So this is first part of Bhagavad Gita, that it helps us in resolving our dilemmas, our indecisiveness. It enlightens us. It gives us clarity of thought, what we should do, what we should not do in a given situation. But in any case, Lord Krishna says that you must not abandon your karma. Karma to aapko karna hi hai. So this is the first one. Now the second part. He actually starts with the most profound truth of our existence. He goes to the pinnacle at the very beginning. He goes to the top of the mountain and it starts from there. He tells that all these bodies are subject to change and death. Like in our body, we have childhood, we have, teenage, we have adulthood, we had old age, and similarly, the death. While all these changes are happening in the body, you are constantly there. You are passing through all these changes constantly. The body is bound to die, that's what he tells. But you are eternal, you are constantly there. You are not going to die. You are eternal and you will exist forever. Now, here, two verses which are I would like to read out are very important. Chapter 2, verse number 20. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन नायम भूत्वा भविता वा न भूय अजो नित्य शाश्वतो अयम पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. That the body is going to die, but you are eternal, you are have been in existence forever, and you will always be in existence. And you will not be killed if the body is killed. Na hanyate hanyamane sarire. Even if body is killed, you will not be killed. न जायते म्रियते, न कोई जन्म है न कोई मृत्यु है. You have always been there. Then in verse number 22nd, which is very often quoted, वांसासि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि ग्रहाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णान्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि. As we change our old clothes, torn clothes, the body changes, the soul changes, the body which is old, which is not functional anymore, which has become non-functional, which is having many defects now. So Your soul changes body as you change the clothes. So body is merely a clothing on your soul, and it is undergoing constant change. As the clothing we wear is undergoing constant change, the body we wear on our soul is also undergoing constant change. So this is what he explained in this. This is the most fundamental truth of our existence, which no science can discover through laboratory tests. Because the soul is something which cannot be grasped through our sense organs. It is beyond the five sense organs we have, and we magnify these sense organs with the help of medical and modern scientific instruments. Even those instruments, after magnification, will not be able to discover the soul. The soul is suksham. Suksham means which is not sensible, it is insensible. So, this is what Lord Krishna says in chapter 2nd, in the first part, that body is subject to change, it's constantly changing, but soul is eternal. Like we see, I have this fan upstairs in the ceiling. In the middle, you have what we call dhuri in the fan, which is constantly there and the fan is rotating around it. If that dhuri is not there, the fan cannot rotate. So the dhuri is comparable to the human soul. The soul is there around which this body revolves. The body comes in the form of childhood, then grows, and ultimately it is incapacitated and it dies. But the soul constantly stays there. So, this is what Lord Krishna told, the most profound truth of our existence. Now, he also said here in this chapter that despite all the dilemmas, all the indecisiveness, all the situations you face, you cannot abandon your duty. The rightful act has to be done because he tells that no human being, for that matter, no living being, can remain without doing karma even for a second. Not doing karma is also actually doing something. If a phone call comes to me, if I take the call, that is also a karma. If I decide not to take it, that is also a karma. So you cannot remain without performing karma at any stage. At the same time, he says, you since you cannot decide the outcome of the karma, you should not worry about it. That you should leave to the samasti, to the supreme, to the existence. So that is what he said in verse number 47 of chapter 2nd. Karmanyavadhikaraste ma phalesu kadachan. That you have right to perform your duty, but you have no control over the outcome. So here he says in the second part that you must perform your duty as well. So running away from the duty is what we call impotence. That should not happen. It is the most sinful thing one can do. So one must perform the duty according to one's best judgment without having the pride of the doer. and without expectation out of that duty. Whatever happens, we should take it as granted. So then, verse number 50 in the same is very interesting also. Buddhi yukto jata hite ube sukrat duskrate tasmat yogai yujvas yog karmasu kosalam. That the person who does not care about praise or criticism, he has his equanimity while doing his job. Actually, he is a yogi. And that is why he says, Yog कर्म सु कौशलम. कर्म का कौशल ही योग है. If we can perform our duties with equanimity, without feeling the criticism or the praise, without any expectation and without any pride of the doership, that is called yog. Yog karm su kausalam. Verse number 50 in chapter 2nd. So this is another very important lesson Lord Krishna is giving in this chapter. Now, in the later part of this chapter, he talks about what we call sthit pragya. Sthit pragya is the one when you do not, you are not vitiated or you are not, changing your mind because of what others are commenting on. The outside comments are not vitiating your decision making process. So you have to have an intellect which is established in the truth, irrespective of the comments outside. You are, it's also dhriti, you are also fully established in that truth and you are not wavering in your decision. So that is what he said in verse number 62 onwards. And this deviation or this, what we call vichalan in Sanskrit, happens because of the sense organs, because of the mental perception. So you should have your mind in a stable position, your intellect in a stable position, and your sense organs should be under your control so that you can achieve what we call absolutely stable decision making power. And that is the basis of yoga. Then you will be able to perform your duties without any second thought, without any dilemma, and you will attain yoga with your karma. Yoga karma su kosalam will take place once you have sthit pragya. So these are the important lessons we learn from this chapter. But in this chapter, Lord Krishna also talks about one very profound psychological truth, that why do we get angry? Why do we get disappointment? Why do we have frustration? So he has explained that in a very systematic way. He says that when you actually think of an object, outside object, And when you keep thinking about that object, then you develop attachment to that object. For example, somebody wants to buy a particular car. Now he has been thinking about that car all the time. Now he develops an attachment to that car. So he would like to buy that car, and if there is a obstruction in that process, he will get angry, he will get frustration, and he will be disappointed. And then other things will follow. When the anger comes, then your behavior takes a different turn. Your intellect is not able to recall all the previous truths and behaves in an arbitrary fashion. So, what happens? You start with an attachment to an object, then that attachment actually creates a strong desire inside you. If you are able to fulfill that desire, it's fine. If you are not able to fulfill, then variety of reactions will happen. Disappointment will happen, frustration will happen, anger will happen. And anger will lead to further, you know, deviation in your intellect and your decision making power. So the whole behavior of the human being is completely distorted because of this process. So we must understand this process that विषयों का अगर चिंतन करेंगे तो उस चिंतन से आसक्ति हो जाएगी, आसक्ति में विघ्न आने से निराशा होगी, निराशा होने से क्रोध आएगा और क्रोध से स्मृति भ्रमित होगी और स्मृति भ्रमित होने से हमारा व्यवहार अनुचित डायरेक्शन की तरफ चला जाएगा. So this is what he explained in a very systematic way in verses from 60 to 65, giving profound psychological truth of our existence. Now let's go to the karma and gyan. The karma versus gyan. Actually, this question was also asked by Arjun. After listening to the chapter second, he said, if gyan is superior, why are you pushing me to this, disastrous act of war? Why are you doing that? So then Lord Krishna comes out with chapter 3. And that is where he explains that action has to be done. Action cannot be left aside. If you are not performing your niyat kam, then you are doing sin. All your existence will be spoiled. You are in the wrong direction. So he says, niyat karm karna anivarya hai. One must perform the duties which you are supposed to do, which you are, uh, expected to do. And these duties you are not doing on your own volition. These are actually embedded in the software which you inherit at the time of your birth. And that software propels you. This is the law of nature. This is what he says. That is what he says. So now let us see a few verses of this chapter. One is verse number 5 of chapter 3, which says, Nahi kasyat sanmapi jatu tist te karm krat karyate ravash karm sarva prakrti jair gune. that in any moment in life, you cannot remain without performing an action. This has to be done. This is the truth. Nahi kaschit shanmapi. Not even any shan, any moment of life. Jatu tist tya karm krat. That you can remain without doing an action. It's not possible. The whole humanity performs their action based on the direction of the nature. The nature directs them to perform the karma, to perform. How nature directs? Let's see. When you are a child, you are innocent, you don't know, you just keep playing. And you make sometimes very profound comments, but people take them as, uh, as a childhood statement. You can even tell your mother you are telling the lies. Why are you telling this lies? People laugh and because he's a child, he's innocent, he doesn't know how to react. So in childhood, how do you behave? Why do you behave that way? Because that is the nature. That is the quality of nature at that stage in life. When you grow a little older, you become mischievous. In school, in colleges, you perform all kinds of tricks. Because these are the qualities you get from the natural process in your body. The body gives you that kind of thinking and energy. And then you grow older, then you start falling in love. Yeah? Then you run after women or women run after men. And all these things happen. The the love and the partings and you know all those stories come out. This is also because of the nature, because the nature changes the hormones in your body at that stage. And then again, the hormones undergo change and you become more mature. You feel, oh, what I did that time was, not correct. And you think hormones become different. And then your hormones become weaker and weaker and you suffer from the old age. All this is happening constantly. Why this is happening? Is it we want that way? No, we don't want that way. If our will has to prevail, then we would all the time like to do wise things, perfectly great things, but that doesn't happen because the nature guides our mind, our intellect. The intellect and mind are part of the natural process which we inherit at the time of our birth. So this is what he says that without karma you cannot remain, you have to perform. And the nature, sarva prakrti jair gune, that is the word in Sanskrit, that all that you perform is prakrti jair gune, because of the qualities of the nature, because of the law of the nature. We have to do it. And we are parvash, we are not under our control. Karyate havash, that you are uh, under the spell of the nature, you do it. So you have to do the work, duty. So don't ever think that by not doing you will be able to escape. This is what he said to Arjun, that by running away from this battlefield, you think you will be doing something good. He said, no, you will not do something good because you have to perform. And then another verse which is very profound also. This is verse number 6, which says that those people who forcefully do not perform, abstain from karma, but in the mind they keep thinking about those karma, then they are called mithyachari. So This verse number 6 of chapter 3. कर्मेंद्रियाणि संयम्य ये आस्ते मनसा स्मरण इंद्रियार्थान विमूढ़ात्मा मिथ्याचार से उच्यते. मिथ्याचार से उच्यते. That if you are try to control your sense organs by force or by some sort of uh, what you call uh, pretense, then your action is called mithyachar. So we should perform our swabhavik karma. That is what he said, which will also be repeated subsequently in chapter 18. So here he says that you must perform your karma, because without karma you cannot remain. And if you try to abstain from the karma forcefully, then it is called mithyachar. It is not the right conduct that you should be doing. Now, let's move a little further in this yoga, karma yoga versus gyan, knowledge versus action. Now, here he re-emphasizes again. He's saying that all that you are doing is because of the three qualities of nature, Sat, Raj, and Tam. And that is what? Prakrti kriyamanani gune karmani sarvash अहंकार विमूढ़ात्मा करता है मिति मन्यते. वास्तव में संपूर्ण कर्म सब प्रकार से प्रकृति के गुणों द्वारा किए जाते हैं. गुणे कर्म सी सर्वस. The nature has given you these three qualities, and forced by those qualities we perform all this. But the human being thinks that he is the doer. This is the problem. Karta hai miti manyate, that he start thinking that I am the doer. Now that is what we have to avoid. And why does he do that? Ahankar vimudhatma, that because of the ego and because of poor knowledge, he thinks that he is the doer. So everything which we are doing is happening because of the law of nature, because of the qualities of the nature which are embedded in our body mind complex. But we start thinking that I am the doer. So we should not do that. This is what Lord Krishna is saying, that you are not doing anything. Why do you think that you are killing? You are performing your duty as decided by the nature, as decided by the embedded system in your body mind complex. This is what he says. Apply your intellect to the best and perform your duty. Don't run away. So this is here, this point is very clear, that we should not think that I am the doer. The doership is not actually on us. Now, this has also been emphasized in great detail in verse number 16 of chapter 3. We went to 27, but 16 here. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartiyati hai adhayu ridindriyama ramo modam parth se jivati. That इस श्लोक में, in this entire existence, we are driven by the Srasti Chakra. Pravartitam Chakram, that the chakra of this nature is guiding us. And therefore, you must not prohibit the natural karma you are supposed to do. You should not become obstruction in that process. If you do not perform your karma as decided by the nature, then the word he has used is very strong here. Mogam path se jivati, adhayu rindriya ramo. That ऐसा व्यक्ति जो है वो पाप आयु पुरुष व्यर्थ ही जीता है. That he is alive without any reason. So this point is very clear from chapter 3 that we must not escape our duties which are prescribed. We must perform those duties. We perform those duties with the best of our intellect. And that is why knowledge is important, because the knowledge will guide you to perform your duties in a proper way. Without knowledge, you will not be discharging your duties in the right perspective, in the right direction. So the knowledge becomes the foundation for the action. Like you want to construct a house, the land has to be surveyed, the, the dimension of the width and the length has to be decided, its geological properties have to be decided. Then we have to decide how the foundation would be laid, what kind of architecture will be done. You work out the blueprints, how things will move. So that is the knowledge before you construct the building. So this is the knowledge which Lord Krishna gave in chapter 2nd, that the body is subject to change, it's constantly undergoing change. It's the soul is eternal, it's changing the clothes all the time, and you keep performing your duties with sthit pragya, with what you call equanimity, without praise, without getting elated with praise, and without getting disappointed with criticism. And then he re-emphasized in chapter 3rd that this is, you cannot escape your karma, it has to be done. And it is actually done by the direction of the nature. And therefore, don't consider yourself as doer. You are not the doer. You have been given this software which automatically grows and tells you what to do. As we have applications these days in our laptop and in our mobiles, the application keeps directing us, go there, and we keep doing that. Exactly the same way, there's an application of nature inside our body mind complex, which actually directs us to perform. But then we must perform those things with proper knowledge, jnana. We must understand the consequences. We must understand what is good for me to do under the circumstances. That decision lies with us. That is not the natural process. So the combination of knowledge and action is the one which has been emphasized in chapter 3 of this great scripture. Now let us see how this is integrated with some Upanishadic knowledge. Now we talked about how our body mind complex works. Why do we get angry? Why do we get frustrated? Now, exactly the same thing in a different wording has been mentioned in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which says that, let me use the Hindi words, किसी चीज की इच्छा हो उसके बारे में आप सोचते रहें बार बार, तो आपकी इच्छा प्रबल हो जाती है। वो प्रबल इच्छा आपको कर्म करने के लिए प्रेरित करती है कि उस चीज को किस तरह से प्राप्त किया जाए। सो a wish or a thought turns into desire. Desire is further fortified with constant rethinking, and then that desire propels us towards an action. If the action is successful, then it gives you happiness, transient though. If it is unsuccessful, it gives you disappointment and it makes you angry. This is what Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also says, exactly the same thing. And in terms of knowledge, the Isa Upanishad tells us, the very first verse tells us, ईसा वास्यम इदम सर्वम, that ईश्वर का निवास सब जगह है, that he is the foundation of all existence. Like we on the television, we have a screen. That screen is the foundation of all that we see on the television. On that screen, you see film, you see sports, you see music, you see singing, yeah, you see people fighting, you see the news, all kinds of things come and go constantly. The screen remains constant. Similarly, the, the foundation, which is Paramatma in this existence, that foundation remains constant and things come, go, this keeps happening. So, this is what we have been taught profoundly in the first three chapters of Bhagavad Gita. In fact, these two chapters, second and third, they contain the most profound truths which have been elaborated further down in subsequent chapters based on the queries raised by Arjuna. But these three things, the first thing, rather four things. The first is the existence of dilemmas and indecisiveness. Second, the relationship between the body and soul, and eternal existence of soul and constantly changing nature of body. Thirdly, inevitability of doing actions, how we can convert that action into yajna, yoga, if we do not pretend to be the doer, if we are keeping equanimity when the outcome comes, then you can turn that action into yoga. It can become a yajna. And then the knowledge and the action, they go together. The knowledge gives you the light. It enlightens your intellect and your mind to take correct decisions so that your actions are in the right direction as directed by the circumstances, but superimposed with your knowledge and intellect. So, this is how we have to perform. If we know these four truths, then I think the first three chapters of Bhagavad Gita are part and parcel of our daily existence. So, I'll stop here and then we will similarly take some profound truths which have been, explained in this great scripture in our subsequent two sessions. Thank you very much.